My name is Sarah, and that Christmas night I learned that betrayal doesn't announce itself with thunder. It arrives quietly, wrapped in familiar laughter, hidden behind the glow of tree lights and the scent of cinnamon. It was Christmas Eve at my parents' house in Connecticut. The kind of gathering where everyone pretends the years haven't created distance, where old wounds are covered with wrapping paper and forced smiles. I came because Mom insisted, because family traditions matter, because my husband Michael said it would look bad if we didn't show up. We arrived late. Traffic from Boston had been terrible. Michael complained the entire drive. When we walked through the door, the house was already full. Aunts, uncles, cousins I barely recognized. And there, in the corner by the fireplace, was my younger sister Emma. 24, blonde, wearing a red dress that seemed designed to draw every eye in the room. She hugged me tight, too tight. "Sarah, I missed you so much." Her perfume was new, expensive. Michael kissed her cheek in greeting, his hand lingering on her shoulder just a second longer than necessary. I noticed, but I didn't say anything. I never said anything. The evening moved like they always do. Dad carved the turkey, Mom fussed over side dishes, everyone gathered around the table. Michael sat across from me next to Emma. They laughed at inside jokes I didn't understand. When I asked what was funny, Emma just smiled. "You had to be there, sis." "When was I not there?" I asked. "Oh, just some work thing. Michael stopped by my office last week to drop off those documents you forgot." I hadn't forgotten any documents. I looked at Michael. He was cutting his turkey, didn't meet my eyes. "Yeah, no big deal," he said. "Just helping out." After dinner, I helped Mom in the kitchen while everyone else moved to the living room. Through the doorway, I could see Michael and Emma on the couch, their heads close together, looking at something on her phone. Mom was talking about Aunt Helen's hip surgery, but I wasn't listening. I was watching the way Emma touched his arm, the way he leaned in. "Sarah, are you okay?" Mom's voice cut through. "Fine, just tired." "You've seemed distant lately. Is everything all right with you and Michael?" "Everything's perfect," I lied. The word tasted like ash. Around 10, people started leaving. Uncle Bob and his family, the cousins with their kids. The house grew quieter. Dad announced he was going to bed. Mom followed soon after. That left me, Michael, Emma, and my brother Jake, who was half asleep in the recliner. "I'm going to get more wine," Emma said, standing. "Sarah, want to help?" "I'm good here," I said. Michael stood. "I'll help you find it. Your dad has that whole wine cellar situation." They disappeared down the basement stairs. Jake started snoring. I sat there, watching the Christmas tree lights blink, red and green, red and green. 5 minutes passed. 10. I told myself they were, just looking for wine. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself all the things you tell yourself when you know the truth, but aren't ready to face it. Then I heard it. Laughter. Emma's voice, low and playful. "Stop, someone might hear." I stood up. My legs felt disconnected from my body. I walked to the basement door, each step deliberate, careful. The stairs were old, they creaked. I took them slowly, gripping the railing. The basement was dim, lit only by the small lamp near the wine rack. And there they were, pressed against the wall between the bottles and the old storage boxes. Michael's hands were in Emma's hair. Her arms were around his neck. They were kissing like they'd done it 1,000 times before. Familiar. Comfortable. Hungry. I don't know how long I stood there. Long enough to see everything. Long enough to understand that this wasn't the first time. Long enough to memorize every detail so I could replay it later, when I was alone. When I could finally let myself break. Michael saw me first. He pulled back, his face going white. Sarah, Emma turned, her lipstick smudged. For a moment, just a moment, I saw something in her eyes. Not guilt. Recognition. Like she'd been waiting for this. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just looked at them both, my husband and my baby sister, and said very quietly, "How long?" "Sarah, please, let me explain." Michael started. "How long?" I repeated. Emma smoothed her dress. 6 months, she said. Her voice was steady, almost proud. 6 months. I did the math in my head. That was before my birthday, before our anniversary, before the miscarriage I'd had in September when Michael held my hand in the hospital and promised we'd try again. 6 months, I echoed. The words felt foreign. Michael took a step toward me. "It just happened. We didn't plan." "Don't," I said. "Don't you dare say it just happened." Emma crossed her arms. "Sarah, you have to understand. We didn't want to hurt you." I laughed then. A short, bitter sound. "You didn't want to hurt me? You're fucking my husband, Emma, in our parents' basement, on Christmas." "Keep your voice down," she hissed. "Mom and Dad are sleeping." "Oh, we wouldn't want to wake them," I said. "We wouldn't want to ruin Christmas." Michael reached for me. "Sarah, please, we can talk about this." I stepped back. "There's nothing to talk about. Not now, not here." I turned and walked up the stairs. My hands were shaking, but my steps were steady. Jake was still asleep in the chair. I grabbed my coat from the closet, my purse from the table. Michael followed me. "Where are you going?" "Hotel." "Sarah, don't do this. It's Christmas Eve." "Yeah," I said, opening the front door. "It is." I drove to the nearest hotel, a Holiday Inn off the highway. The clerk looked at me with concern. I must have looked terrible, but he didn't ask questions. Just gave me a key to room 247. I sat on the bed and stared at the wall. The room smelled like industrial, cleaner and old carpet. Outside, I could hear the highway, the endless sound of people going somewhere. My phone buzzed. 12 messages from Michael, 3 from Emma. I turned it off. That night, I didn't cry. I just lay there, fully clothed, staring at the ceiling, trying to remember when I stopped being enough, trying to remember when my sister became the kind of person who could do this, trying to remember when my husband became a stranger. Morning came. I showered, put on the same clothes, and drove home to Boston. Michael had left voicemails. "We need to talk. Please answer. I love you." That last one made me laugh. Love. As if he knew what the word meant. When I got home, the apartment felt different, smaller, colder. I walked through each room, seeing it with new eyes. The couch where we used to watch movies. The kitchen where we'd make breakfast on Sundays. The bedroom where I'd trusted him every night. I sat at the dining table and opened my laptop. Started going through our bank accounts. Joint checking, joint savings, the credit cards. I looked at every transaction from the past 6 months. Dinners I hadn't been to. Hotel charges on nights he'd said he was working late. Jewelry purchases I'd never received. There was a charge from Tiffany's in October. $800. I'd never gotten anything from Tiffany's. I wondered if Emma was wearing it right now. My phone rang. "Michael." I answered. "Thank God," he said. "Sarah, where are you?" "Home." "I'm coming. Over." "No. We need to talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about, Michael. You made your choice." "It was a mistake," he said. "A stupid, terrible mistake. I love you. I want to fix this." "You love me," I repeated. "Is that why you've been sleeping with my sister for half a year?" Silence. "That's what I thought," I said, and hung up. I spent Christmas Day alone. Ate leftover Chinese food, watched mindless TV, ignored the calls from everyone. Mom, Dad, Michael, Emma. Even Jake called, his voice awkward. "Hey sis, I don't know what happened, but maybe you guys should talk." I didn't respond to any of them. On the 26th, I called a lawyer. Her name was Rebecca Chen, came highly recommended. We met at her office in downtown Boston. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, no nonsense. "Tell me everything," she said. I did. The discovery, the 6 months, the evidence I'd found. She took notes, asked questions, didn't judge. "Do you want to fight for the marriage?" she asked. "No." "Good. That makes this easier. Massachusetts is no fault, but adultery can affect asset division. I'll need everything you have. Bank statements, credit card records, anything that shows the affair." "I have it all," I said. She smiled. "Then let's make sure you get what you deserve." Over the next week, I moved like a robot. Work, home, sleep. I barely ate. Michael kept calling. I kept ignoring. He showed up at the apartment twice. I didn't answer the door. Emma sent me a long text. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I love you. You're my sister. Please, can we talk?" I deleted it without responding. New Year's Eve came. I spent it alone with a bottle of wine and my laptop, organizing documents for Rebecca. Bank statements, emails I'd found in our shared computer, receipts. Every piece of evidence of their betrayal, cataloged and saved. At midnight, I raised my glass to the empty room. "To new beginnings," I said to no one. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "Sarah, this is David, Emma's boyfriend. Can we talk?" I stared at the message. Emma's boyfriend. She had a boyfriend, and she was sleeping with my husband. I typed back, "About what?" "About them. I think we should meet." I should have said no. Should have blocked the number. Should have focused on my own healing. But there was something about the message, something that made me curious. "When?" I typed. "Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Starbucks on Newberry Street." I arrived early, ordered black coffee, sat by the window. David showed up right on time. Tall, dark hair, gym build. He looked tired. "Sarah?" he asked. I nodded. He sat down. "Thank you for meeting me," he said. "I wasn't sure you would." I wasn't sure I would either. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. Emma and Michael, at a restaurant I recognized, holding hands across the table. The date stamp was from November. "I've known for a month," he said, "been gathering evidence." "Why?" "Because Emma and I have been together for 2 years. We were talking about getting engaged. Then I noticed her pulling away, being secretive. So I followed her one night." He laughed bitterly. "Found her with your husband." We sat in silence for a moment. "What do you want from me?" I asked. "Nothing," he said. "I just thought you should know you're not alone in this, and that they're still seeing each other." "What?" He showed me another photo. Emma and Michael from 2 days ago, at his apartment. My apartment. My hands clenched around the coffee cup. He brought her to our home. "I'm sorry," David said, "but I thought you should know what you're dealing with." I looked at him, really looked at him. He wasn't here for revenge. He was here because he was hurt, just like me. Because misery loves company. Because sometimes you need to know you're not the only fool. "What are you going to do?" I asked. Already did it. Broke up with her yesterday. Told her I knew everything. She cried. Said it was complicated. That she loved both of us. He shook his head. I told her to choose. She couldn't. "And Michael?" Still calling you? Every day. He's playing both sides, David said. Telling you he wants to fix things, telling her he wants to be with her. I've seen the messages. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You've seen their messages? Emma's phone syncs to her iPad. She left it at my place. I have screenshots if you want them. Yes, I said immediately. I want them. He sent them to my phone. Hundreds of messages, plans, promises, lies. Michael telling Emma he loved her, that he was just waiting for the right time to tell me. Emma saying she felt guilty but couldn't stop. Both of them talking about me like I was an obstacle, a problem to be solved. I read through them all, sitting there in Starbucks, while David watched. I'm sorry, he said again when I finished. Don't be, I said. This is exactly what I needed. I forwarded everything to Rebecca. She called me within an hour. This changes things, she said. With this evidence, we can push for a much better settlement. The apartment is in both your names? Yes. And you've been paying the majority of the mortgage? All of it. Michael's business hasn't been profitable. Even better. Start looking for a new place. We're going to make sure you get everything you're entitled to. That night, I started apartment hunting. Found a place in Cambridge, smaller but nicer, with big windows and hardwood floors. Signed the lease the next day. I didn't tell Michael, didn't tell anyone. Just started packing, quietly, taking only what was mine. Clothes, books, the few things that mattered. I left behind everything we'd bought together. The couch, the dishes, the bed where he'd held me and lied. On moving day, I hired movers. Had them come while Michael was at work. Took everything in 3 hours. Left him a note on the kitchen counter. The lawyer will be in touch. Don't contact me. I didn't sign it. Didn't say goodbye. Just locked the door and left the key with the building manager. My new apartment felt like breathing after being underwater. I spent the first night sitting on the floor, eating pizza, feeling lighter than I had in months. Rebecca called the next morning. He knows you moved. His lawyer reached out. They want to negotiate. Let them wait, I said. That's the spirit. Emma tried calling. I blocked her number. Mom called crying. Sarah, please come home. We need to talk about this as a family. There's nothing to talk about, Mom. Emma made her choice. I made mine. But she's your sister. You can't just cut her out. Watch me, I said, and hung up. Days turned into weeks. I threw myself into work, into building a life that didn't include them. Made new friends, started going to the gym, redecorated my apartment exactly how I wanted it. Michael's lawyer kept pushing for a meeting. Rebecca kept declining. Let them sweat, she said. The longer we wait, the more desperate they'll get. She was right. By February, Michael was calling from different numbers, sending emails, even showing up at my work. Security had to escort him out. Please, he begged through the glass door. Just talk to me. I'm sorry. I'll do anything. I looked at him and felt nothing. Not anger, not love, not even pity. Just emptiness. Go home, Michael, I said. This is my home. You're my home. Not anymore. In March, we finally agreed to meet. Mediation, Rebecca called it. Both parties, both lawyers, trying to settle things without going to court. Michael looked terrible. Thinner, older, dark circles under his eyes. Emma wasn't with him. I wondered if they were still together, then realized I didn't care. Rebecca laid out our terms. I wanted the apartment, half his business assets, and compensation for the emotional distress. Michael's lawyer objected to everything. My client is willing to offer $50,000 and we split the apartment proceeds, he said. Rebecca laughed. Actually laughed. Your client committed adultery with her sister for 6 months, used joint funds to finance the affair, and brought his mistress into their shared home. We have documentation of everything. If this goes to trial, he'll be lucky to keep his car. Michael's lawyer went pale. They asked for a recess. When they came back, Michael wouldn't look at me. We'll agree to your terms, his lawyer said. But we need time to liquidate assets. You have 30 days, Rebecca said. They signed. Just like that. 7 years of marriage reduced to signatures on paper. Walking out of that office, I felt the last chain fall away. I was free. That night, David texted me. Heard you settled. Congratulations. Thank you. What about you? Moving to California. Fresh start. Good for you. Sarah, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever regret not fighting for him? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I typed back. You can't fight for someone who's already chosen to leave. You can only choose yourself. Wise words. Hard-earned ones. We texted occasionally after that. Just checking in, sharing small victories. He got a new job. I got promoted. He met someone new. I started dating again, casually. Nothing serious. Life moved on, the way it always does. Then one day in April, I got a call from Mom. Sarah, I need to tell you something. My stomach dropped. What? Emma's pregnant. The world tilted. What? She's pregnant. 3 months. She says it's Michael's. I sat down. And she wanted me to tell you. She's sorry. She knows she destroyed everything, but she wanted you to know from family, not from gossip. How considerate of her, I said. The bitterness in my voice was sharp enough to cut. Sarah, please, is there anything else? She wants to see you, to explain, to apologize properly. No. Sarah. Mom, I love you, but no. Emma made her choices. She gets to live with them. I'm done. I hung up and sat, in silence. Emma was pregnant, with Michael's baby. The baby I'd lost. The baby we'd wanted. I should have cried, should have been angry. But I felt nothing. Just a distant sense of relief that it wasn't my problem anymore. That child, that mess, that life. It wasn't mine to carry. I called Rebecca. Emma's pregnant. Does this change anything for you? No. The divorce is final, right? Signed and sealed. You're done with him, Sarah. Good. Then it doesn't matter. But it did matter in a way I didn't expect. Because 3 months later, Emma called me from the hospital. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Sarah. Her voice was weak, tearful. I need you. Why? I'm in labor. Michael's not here. He left. He said he couldn't do it. Couldn't be a father. He just left. And I'm scared. And I know I don't deserve your help. But please. Please. I don't want to be alone. I closed my eyes. Thought about hanging up. Thought about letting her face the consequences of her choices alone. But she was still my sister, and that baby was still innocent. Which hospital? I asked. When I got there, Emma was in a private room, hooked up to monitors. She looked so young, so scared. Mom was there, holding her hand. Dad paced by the window. Sarah, Mom said, standing. Thank you for coming. I didn't respond, just walked to Emma's bedside. Hi, she whispered. Hi. I'm sorry for everything. I was selfish and stupid and cruel. I destroyed your life and mine, and I have. No excuse. But thank you for being here. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She wasn't the confident, perfect little sister anymore. She was just broken. Just human. "I'm not here for you," I said quietly. "I'm here because that baby doesn't deserve to come into the world with nothing but regret." She started crying. I didn't comfort her, just stood there while the hours passed, while labor progressed, while my parents fretted. At midnight, Emma's daughter was born. 6 pounds, healthy, screaming. The nurse placed her in Emma's arms, and my sister looked down at this tiny person with wonder and terror. "What are you going to name her?" Mom asked. Emma looked at me. "Grace. Her name is Grace." I nodded. It was a good name. A name that meant forgiveness, redemption, second chances. "She's beautiful," I said, and meant it. I stayed for another hour, then left. In the parking lot, I sat in my car and finally let myself cry. Not for Michael, not even for Emma, but for the version of myself who'd walked into that Christmas gathering thinking everything was fine. For the woman I'd been before I knew what betrayal tasted like. I cried until there were no tears left. Then I drove home, to my apartment, my life, my future. David called the next day. I heard, "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I actually am." "Want to get coffee sometime? As friends?" I smiled. "Yeah, I'd like that." We met the following weekend, talked about everything and nothing. He told me about California, about his new job. I told him about the baby, about facing Emma. "You're stronger than you think," he said. "So are you." We became friends after that. Real friends. The kind built on shared scars and hard-won wisdom. Months passed. I heard through Mom that Michael had left town, gone to Seattle for a job, that Emma was raising Grace alone, struggling but managing. I didn't reach out, didn't offer help. That chapter was closed. Then, one October evening, I ran into Emma at a coffee shop. She was alone, looking tired but peaceful. We stared at each other for a long moment. "Hi," she finally said. "Hi. Grace is with Mom. I just needed a minute to breathe." I nodded, understanding. "How are you?" she asked. "Good, really good, actually." "I'm glad." She paused. "I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I'm in therapy now. Trying to understand why I did what I did. Not to excuse it. Just to make sure I never hurt anyone like that again." "Good," I said, and meant it. "Sarah, I know I can never make this right. But I want you to know that losing you was the worst consequence of all this. Worse than losing Michael. Worse than raising Grace alone. I lost my sister. And that's something I have to live with." I looked at her, saw the genuine remorse, the growth, the pain. "Maybe someday," I said carefully, "we can find a new normal. Not like before. That's gone. But something. For Grace's sake, if nothing else." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'd like that." "Don't cry," I said. "You've got a baby to get home to." She laughed through the tears, nodded, started to leave, then turned back. "Sarah, you look happy. Genuinely happy." "I am," I said, and realized it was true. That night, I sat on my couch, in my apartment, in my life that I'd built from ruins. Thought about Christmas Eve, about the basement, about the moment everything shattered. And I realized something. That night didn't destroy me. It freed me. Freed me from a marriage built on lies. From a man who didn't value me. From the version of myself who accepted less than she deserved. I picked up my phone and texted David. "Thank you." For what? For being there. For helping me see I wasn't alone. "Same to you, Sarah. Same to you." I put the phone down and looked around my apartment. My space. My rules. My peace. The betrayal had been real. The pain had been real. But so was this. This life I'd claimed back. this strength I'd found, this version of myself who knew her worth. And that, I thought, was the best revenge of all. Not destroying them, not making them suffer, simply becoming someone who didn't need them to be whole. I smiled, turned off the lights, and went to bed. Tomorrow was a new day, and I was ready for it. 6 months after that coffee shop encounter, my life had settled into a rhythm I never expected to find. I woke up each morning without the weight of resentment, went to work without checking my phone every 5 minutes for apologies I no longer needed. Came home to silence that felt like peace instead of loneliness. David and I stayed in touch. He'd send photos from San Francisco, Golden Gate bridges and foggy mornings. I'd send him pictures of Boston snow, the Charles River frozen over. Our friendship was easy, uncomplicated. Two people who'd survived the same storm and could talk about it without drowning. Met someone, he texted one evening. Tell me everything, I typed back. Her name's Olivia. Artist. Makes me laugh. Doesn't know about Emma, and I like it that way. Fresh slate. I'm happy for you. What about you? Anyone new? I thought about it. There'd been a few dates, nothing serious. A guy from work who talked too much about his ex. A friend of a friend who was nice but boring. I wasn't looking, not really. I'd learned that you can't find yourself in someone else. Not yet, I replied. But I'm okay with that. Good. You deserve someone who sees you. I smiled at the message. He was right. I did. And for the first time in years, I believed it. Work became my focus. I'd been promoted to senior director, managing a team of 12. The job was demanding but rewarding. I poured my energy into projects, into mentoring younger colleagues, into building something that was entirely mine. One Tuesday, my assistant knocked on my office door. There's someone here to see you. Says it's personal. My stomach tightened. Who? Michael Walker. I closed my laptop. Took a breath. Tell security to escort him out. Already. Did. But he left this. She handed me an envelope. After she left, I stared at it for a long time. My name written in his handwriting. I could throw it away, should throw it away. But curiosity won. Inside was a letter. 3 pages, handwritten. Sarah, I know I have no right to contact you. I know you told me not to. But I need you to hear this, even if you never respond. I've spent the last year in therapy, trying to understand why I destroyed the best thing in my life. The truth is, I was a coward. I was afraid of commitment, afraid of becoming my father, afraid of growing up. So I sabotaged us. I chose someone who felt safe because she was temporary, forbidden, wrong. I chose the easy destruction over the hard work of being a man worthy of you. Emma and I lasted 3 months after you left. We were never real, just 2 broken people hiding from ourselves. When Grace was born, I panicked. I couldn't handle the reality of what we'd done, so I ran. I've been in Seattle working, through my issues, trying to become someone I don't hate. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm writing because you deserve to know that what happened wasn't your fault. You were perfect. I was the problem. I hope you found happiness. I hope you found someone who sees what I was too blind to see. You deserved better than me. You always did. I'm sorry. For everything. Michael. I read it twice, then folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. Not to keep, just to close properly. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. The apology didn't change anything, didn't heal wounds that had already scarred over. It was just words on paper, too late to matter. That weekend, Mom called. Emma wants to have Thanksgiving at her place this year. Small thing, just family. She's hoping you'll come." "I don't think so, Mom." "Sarah, it's been over a year. Grace is asking about you. She saw photos and keeps saying Auntie." The word hit harder than I expected. Auntie. A role I'd never thought about, never wanted, but it existed anyway, whether I acknowledged it or not. "I'll think about it," I said. That's all I ask. I did think about it, for days. Weighed the cost of going against the cost of staying away. Neither felt right, but one felt necessary. On Thanksgiving morning, I drove to Emma's apartment in Somerville. Small building, 3rd floor, the smell of turkey already filling the hallway. I stood outside her door for a full minute before knocking. Emma answered, hair in a messy bun, flour on her jeans, looking more like our mother than ever. "Sarah," she breathed. "You came." "I'm here for Grace," I said, making it clear. She nodded. "I understand." Inside, the apartment was small but warm. Photos on the walls, toys scattered on the floor. And there, in a playpen by the window, was Grace. Almost a year old now, pulling herself up, babbling at a stuffed elephant. She looked like Emma. Same blonde hair, same blue eyes. But when she saw me, she smiled, and I saw something of myself there too. The shape of her nose, maybe. The way her eyes crinkled. "This is Auntie Sarah," Emma said, picking her up. "Say hi." Grace reached for me. Tiny hands, complete trust. I took her without thinking, and she settled against me like she belonged there. Mom watched from the kitchen doorway, tears in her eyes. Dad cleared his throat and pretended to be very interested in the football game. Thanksgiving was quiet, careful. We talked about safe things. Mom's garden, Dad's retirement plans, Grace's sleep schedule. Nobody mentioned Michael. Nobody mentioned Christmas Eve. The ghost was there, but we all pretended not to see it. After dinner, while Emma put Grace down for a nap, I helped Mom with dishes. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. "It was harder than I thought it would be." "But you came. That's what matters." "I don't know if I can do this regularly, Mom. It still hurts." "I know, sweetheart. But healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning to carry it differently." I thought about that while I drove home. Learning to carry it differently. Maybe that was all any of us could do. December came fast. The office had a holiday party, fancy hotel downtown. I almost didn't go. Memories of last year too fresh, but my assistant convinced me. "New year, new party," she said. "Besides, you're management now. You have to show up." She was right. So I went. Black dress, confident smile, the version of myself I'd built from scratch. The party was nice. Good food, better wine, colleagues who'd become friends. I was talking to our CFO when I saw him across the room. Tall, dark suit, kind eyes. He was talking to someone from accounting, laughing at something they'd said. When he turned, our eyes met. He smiled. I smiled back. "Who's that?" I asked the CFO. "James Richardson, new VP of Operations. Started last month. Harvard MBA, worked at Google before this. And single, if you're asking." I wasn't asking. "Sure you weren't." She winked. "Want an introduction?" Before I could answer, he was walking over. "Hi," he said, extending his hand. "James Richardson. You're Sarah Mitchell, right? I've heard great things about your team." His handshake was firm, warm. "All lies," I said. "We're actually terrible." He laughed. "Somehow I doubt that. Can I get you a drink?" We talked for an hour. About work at first, then about Boston, about movies, about the ridiculousness of office holiday parties. He was funny, smart, easy to talk to. And when he asked for my number, I gave it to him. We started dating in January. Slow at first, coffee dates and walks along the Charles. He'd been divorced too, understood the hesitation, the walls. Didn't push. "I'm not looking to fix you," he said one evening over dinner. "I'm just looking to know you." It was exactly what I needed to hear. By March, we were serious. He met my parents, which was awkward, but manageable. Mom loved him immediately. Dad grilled him about his intentions. I sat back and let it happen, amused. "They're protective," I explained after. "They should be," he said. "You're worth protecting." I hadn't told him about Emma yet, about the specifics of my divorce. Just that my ex had cheated, that it was over, that I'd moved on. But one evening in April, sitting on his couch, he asked, "You don't talk about your family much. Any siblings?" I took a breath. "A sister. Emma. We're not close." "Why not?" And I told him. All of it. Christmas Eve, the basement, the 6 months of lies. Grace, Michael's letter. The slow, painful rebuilding. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "It's okay. I'm past it. No, I mean, I'm sorry that happened to you, and I'm sorry I asked. That's heavy stuff." "It is, but it's my stuff, part of my story." He pulled me close. "Thank you for trusting me with it." That summer, Emma reached out. "Grace's birthday party next month. Small thing, just family and a few friends. Would you come?" I talked to James about it. "What do you think?" "I think it's your call, but if you go, I'll go with you, for support." So we went. Emma's apartment, decorated with balloons and streamers. Grace, now walking, toddling around in a tiny princess dress. She saw me and shrieked with joy. "Auntie!" I scooped her up, and she wrapped her arms around my neck. In that moment, holding this little person who was innocent of all the pain that came before her, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acceptance. Emma approached carefully. "Thank you for coming, and you must be James." He shook her hand. Professional, polite, nothing more. The party was actually fun. Grace smashed her cake, opened presents with toddler enthusiasm, demanded I read her favorite book 3 times. When it was time to leave, she cried, "Auntie, stay." "I'll come back soon," I promised, and meant it. In the car, James asked, "How are you? Feeling?" "Okay. Better than I thought. She's a good kid." "She is, and you're a good person for showing up." "It's complicated." "The best things usually are." That fall, David flew to Boston for a conference. We met for dinner, first time seeing each other in person since that Starbucks meeting 2 years ago. "Look at you," he said, hugging me. "You look happy." "Look at you," I countered. "California agrees with you." Over wine, we caught up properly. He told me about Olivia, how they'd gotten engaged, showed me the ring he'd picked out. "I'm really happy for you," I said. "What about you and James?" "It's good, really good. He's patient, kind, doesn't have any secret agendas." "The bar is low but important," David laughed. "How's Emma?" he asked. I told him about the birthday party, about Grace, about the slow thaw. "Think you'll ever really forgive her?" "I don't know. Some days I think I have. Other days I remember Christmas Eve and it all comes back. But I'm learning that forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a process." Wise words. "I learned from the best," I said, raising my glass. We toasted to survival, to second chances, to the messy business of moving forward. In December, 3 years after that Christmas Eve, James proposed. Simple, perfect, on a walk through Boston Common with snow falling around us. "Marry me," he said. "Not because you need me, but because we choose each other." I said yes without hesitation. Planning the wedding brought up questions I'd avoided. Who to invite? Whether to include Emma. Mom pushed gently. She's your sister, Sarah. Grace would love to be flower girl. I talked to James about it. It's your wedding, he said, but I think you'll regret it if she's not there. Not because you owe her anything, but because you'll always wonder what if. He was right. I invited Emma. She cried when she got the invitation. Called me, voice shaking. Are you sure? I'm sure. But Emma, I need you to understand. This doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't mean we're back to normal. It just means I'm choosing to move forward. I understand. And thank you for giving me this chance. The wedding was in May. Small ceremony at a vineyard in Napa. Close friends, family, the people who mattered. Emma came with Grace, who was 3 now, and took her flower girl duties very seriously. As I walked down the aisle, I saw them all. Mom crying, Dad beaming. David and Olivia, who'd flown in from San Francisco. My work friends, my new life, my chosen family. And Emma in the back row, holding Grace, looking at me with something like pride. James waited at the altar, steady and sure. When I reached him, he whispered, "You're beautiful." "You're not so bad yourself," I whispered back. We said our vows under the California sun. Promised love, honesty, partnership. All the things my first marriage had lacked. At the reception, Emma approached carefully. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" We stepped outside, away from the music and laughter. "I just wanted to say," she started, then stopped. Took a breath. "I wanted to say I'm proud of you. For building this life. For not letting what I did destroy you. For being the bigger person when I didn't deserve it." I looked at her. Really looked at her. She'd changed too. Grown up. Become a mother. Learned consequences. "We both had to grow up," I said. "In different ways. I know I can never make it right. But I hope someday we can be sisters again. Really sisters." "Maybe," said. "Not today. Not tomorrow. But someday." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "That's more than I deserve." "Yeah," I agreed. "But Grace deserves an aunt, and I'd like to be one." We hugged then, awkward but real. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't closure. It was just a moment of truce, of possibility. When I went back inside, James was waiting. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, it is." We danced our first dance to a song about new beginnings. Around us, our people celebrated. The life we'd built. The love we'd chosen. The future we were walking into together. Later that night, in our hotel room, James asked, "Any regrets?" Not a single one. Not even the hard parts? Especially not the hard parts. They made me who I am. He kissed me softly. "I love who you are." "I love who you are too." And I meant it. Every word. The next morning, we flew to Greece for our honeymoon. 2 weeks of sunshine and ancient ruins and the kind of peace that comes from knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be. On our last day, sitting on a beach in Santorini, I got a text from Emma. Photo of Grace holding a sign that said, "Congratulations, Auntie Sarah." I showed James. "She's trying." She is. And you're letting her. That's growth on both sides. I looked out at the water, the endless blue, and thought about how far I'd come. From that basement in Connecticut to this beach in Greece. From broken to whole. From victim to survivor. To someone who'd built a life worth living. "Thank you," I said to James. "For what?" "For seeing me. For choosing me. For being patient while I learned to trust again. Thank you for letting me." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. My phone buzzed again. This time, David. Saw the wedding photos. You looked radiant. Proud of you, Sarah. I smiled and typed back, proud of us both. We made it. We did. Here's to second acts. And third acts. And fourth. And every act that comes after. That night, lying in bed with the windows open and the sound of waves in the distance, I thought about Christmas Eve 3 years ago, about the moment I saw them kissing, about how I thought my life was ending. I'd been wrong. It wasn't ending. It was just making room for something better. I thought about Michael, somewhere in Seattle, hopefully growing into someone better. About Emma, raising Grace, learning every day what it means to live with consequences. About David, building a new life in California. We were all survivors of the same wreckage, all building different futures from the same broken pieces. And mine, I realized, was pretty damn good. I fell asleep smiling, James's arm around me, the sound of the ocean like a lullaby. When I woke up, there was a message from Mom. When you get back, Sunday dinner, Emma and Grace will be there. No pressure, just an invitation. I showed James. What do you think? I think we're building a life together. And if family dinners are part of that, I'm in. I typed back, we'll be there. Because that's what healing looks like. Not dramatic gestures or tearful reconciliations. Just showing up, trying. Choosing peace over pain, over and over, until it becomes natural. The flight home was long, but peaceful. James slept, head on my shoulder. I watched the clouds below us and thought about everything I'd learned. That betrayal doesn't have to define you. That forgiveness is a choice, not an obligation. That you can rebuild from ruins. That second chances are possible, but only if everyone does the work. That some relationships can't be saved, and that's okay. That some can be transformed into something new, something different, but still valuable. That love, real love, isn't about perfection. It's about honesty, effort, showing up even when it's hard. When we landed in Boston, the city looked different. Not because it had changed, but because I had. This was home now. Not the place I'd run from, but the place I'd chosen. That Sunday, we went to dinner at my parents' house. Emma was there with Grace, who'd grown taller since the wedding. She ran to me the moment we arrived. "Auntie Sarah, you're back." I picked her up, and she chattered about preschool and her new bike and her stuffed elephant named Mr. Snuggles. Emma watched from the doorway, cautious but hopeful. "Hi," I said over Grace's head. "Hi," she replied. "Good trip?" "Great trip." We didn't talk about the past, didn't rehash old wounds. Just existed in the same space, building something new brick by careful brick. At dinner, Dad told terrible jokes. Mom fussed over the roast. Grace demanded James help her color. And I sat there, at this table, with these people, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Belonging. Not the blind belonging of before, when I didn't know the truth, but the earned belonging of after, when I knew everything and chose to be there anyway. James squeezed my hand under the table. I squeezed back. After dinner, Emma and I ended up on the back porch while everyone else watched Grace chase fireflies in the yard. "Can I ask you something?" Emma said. "Sure." "How did you do it? How did you forgive yourself for what happened?" I looked at her, surprised. "What do you mean?" "I see you now, happy, successful with James. And I wonder how you stopped blaming yourself. How you stopped thinking if only I'd been better. If only I'd noticed. If only I'd done something different." I took a breath. I went to therapy. A lot of therapy. And I learned that their choices weren't my fault. I wasn't perfect, but I didn't deserve what they did. Nobody does. Do you still think about it? Sometimes. Less than before. But when I do, it doesn't hurt the same way. It's just part of my story now. Not the whole story. I think about it every day, Emma said quietly. Every time I look at Grace, I remember how she came into this world. The damage we caused. The family we broke. Emma, you can't change the past. You can only choose what you do now. Are you being a good mother to Grace? I'm trying. Then that's what matters. Not what happened before. What you're doing now. She wiped her eyes. I don't deserve your kindness. Maybe not. But Grace deserves an aunt who tries. And I'm trying. We sat in silence, watching Grace laugh and run, innocent and free. Thank you, Emma finally said. For everything. I nodded. Didn't say you're welcome because we weren't there yet. But we were somewhere. And somewhere was better than nowhere. Life continued. James and I bought a house in Brookline. I made partner at work. David and Olivia got married in San Francisco. Beautiful ceremony by the bay. We flew out for it, celebrated with them, toasted to love and second chances. Grace started kindergarten. Emma sent me photos of her first day, backpack almost as big as she was. I sent back a text. She's growing up so fast. I know. Thanks for being part of her life. Thanks for letting me. Small steps. Building something new from the wreckage of what was. One evening, 2 years after the wedding, I got a message from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, then saw the preview. Sarah, this is Michael. I know I have no right to reach out, but I wanted to let you know I'm getting married. To someone you don't know. I've spent 5 years in therapy, working on myself, becoming someone better. I'm writing because I owe you a real apology. Not the letter I sent before. That was about my guilt. This is about your pain. What I did to you was unforgivable. The affair, the lies, the way I destroyed your ability to trust. You deserved so much better. You deserved honesty, loyalty, respect. I can't undo the damage, but I can say I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. I hope you found happiness. From everything I've heard, you have. You always deserved it. I'm sorry it couldn't be with me, and I'm glad it wasn't. You needed someone better, and I hope you found them. Thank you for the good years. I'm sorry for how they ended. Take care of yourself. Michael. I read it twice, then showed it to James. How do you feel? He asked. I feel nothing. No anger, no pain, no satisfaction. Just acknowledgement that he's finally taking responsibility. Are you going to respond? No. There's nothing to say. That chapter is closed. I deleted the message and turned to James. Let's go get dinner. Mexican? You read my mind. We walked to our favorite restaurant, hand in hand, talking about our day, our plans, the ordinary, beautiful minutiae of a life well lived. And as we sat there, sharing chips and salsa, laughing at his terrible jokes, I realized something profound. The betrayal had happened. The pain had been real. The rebuilding had been hard. But I'd done it. I'd survived. More than survived. I'd thrived. I'd taken the worst moment of my life and turned it into a catalyst for becoming the person I was meant to be. Stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more careful with my heart, but also more open to real love when it appeared. What are you thinking about? James asked. About how lucky I am. To have me? He teased. To have learned that I could lose everything and still be okay. To have learned that my worth isn't tied to whether someone loves me. To have learned that I'm enough, all by myself. He reached across the table, took my hand. You are. You always were. I know. Now. We finished dinner, walked home through the autumn evening, leaves crunching under our feet. At home, we settled on the couch, his arm around me, watching a mindless show and enjoying the peace of being together. My phone buzzed. Emma. Grace wants to know if you and James can come to her ballet recital next month. I typed back, we'll be there. Thank you, Sarah, for everything. I didn't respond to that, just set the phone down and curled closer to James. Grace's ballet recital next month, I said. I'll clear my calendar. You're a good man. You're a good woman. We're good together. Yeah, we are. And we were. Not perfect. Not without our own struggles and challenges. But good. Real. Built on honesty and respect, and the kind of love that grows stronger with time. As I drifted off to sleep that night, I thought about that Christmas Eve 5 years ago. About the woman I'd been, standing at the top of those basement stairs, looking down at the destruction of her life. If I could talk to her now, I'd tell her it gets better, that the pain fades, that she's stronger than she knows, that this isn't the end of her story, just the end of a chapter. I'd tell her to trust herself, to walk away with dignity, to rebuild slowly and carefully, to be patient with her heart, to know that betrayal says everything about them and nothing about her worth. I'd tell her that someday she'll sit on a couch with a man who sees her, truly sees her, and feel grateful for the journey that led her there. I'd tell her that healing is possible, that forgiveness is a choice, that you can rebuild from ruins. I'd tell her that the best revenge is a life well lived, and I'd tell her what I know now with absolute certainty. She's going to be okay, better than okay. She's going to be happy, because I am.